Hi, good morning, everybody. Everybody can hear me all right? All right. I want to say thank you for everybody that's here today. I hope that some of the information that I'm giving you here today makes a difference in your business. If you can walk out of here, my goal today is that for all of you, to at least walk out of here with one idea that is going to help your business, right? And if you walk with two ideas, guess what? You're already doing better than I thought. So, but anyway, so I want to get in a little bit about myself. I am the founder and CEO for Micrologic. We're a POS technology company for the car wash industry. We've been doing this in the car wash for 23 years, prior to that in parking, and prior to that in Wall Street for a few years before that. So before we start going into some of these slides here, I wanted to, there's a big misconception of what AI is, right? And obviously everybody, if you haven't heard about AI so far, you probably don't have cable or internet or electricity at your house. So I'm sure everybody has heard about internet and has heard about AI. So with the AI obviously it stands for artificial intelligence, but more importantly, it's the technology piece that allows the information, the understanding of information to be presented and do something about it, right? And why do I think that's important to actually understand what that is that a lot of people get scared about AI, right? You hear all over the news and everybody has a different opinion. Obviously I have mine, and at Micrologic we have our opinion about what AI is good for and not good for. And a lot of people get scared about AI, that it's going to replace humans and blah, 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 blah. So we will not get into that, but we don't believe that it will. AI and computers have always been very good at processing large volumes of information, right? And as humans, we make decisions based on the information that we know, information that we have learned about, information that is in our brains. But also as humans, we have limitations and of the information that we can retain in our brains, about the information and how fast we can process information. And that's where computers come to shine, right? That's where AI is a lot better than humans. AI, when you feed it a lot of information and you feed it encyclopedias and not just volumes of encyclopedias, and you feed them articles and you feed them math equations and pictures, the processing power that AI has is far greater than any brain can have. Unlike also a human brain, you can continue to add power to that processing AI, right? So if you need more computers, you go in NVIDIA, and that's why for any of you guys that follow the stocks, all you need to do is look at NVIDIA stock, and that's the reason why they keep on growing, because people keep on buying chips from NVIDIA. Unlike in human brains, you cannot just add more brain power to your brains. So I think I wanted to make that distinction. I wanted to make that explanation because it's important on how this presentation, the things that I talked about, it'll help you understand as to why some of the beliefs and some of the things and some of the tools that we have created around AI to help car wash operators make a difference in everyday life. So I went a little bit about this. So I basically have the presentation broken down into three, possibly four sections here. The first section is about AI understanding your retail customers. Then we're going to touch in a little bit on how AI can help your operations and improve your operations. And then how do we implement the AI in both of those? How are those connected, right? Because and I'll talk about this a little bit, you hear a lot about AI in car washing and other industries, and AI is about generating content and touching base with your customers. That's great, but that's one small piece of the big solution for car washes, right? And a lot of other industries. And finally, we're going to, again, how do we combine the two? At the end of this session, I'll leave about 5-10 minutes open for any questions and any clarifications. And if we run out of time, we are the show floor, or you can catch me at any time after this session. But certainly feel free to stop at our booth, and we'll be able to answer any more questions that you have. Okay, so as I said earlier, one of the things that at Micrologic, we've been in this industry now for about 23 years, and everybody knows that over the last several years, right, 5-7 years, you can argue a little bit more, some people 9 to 10 years, one of the things that has changed the industry is memberships, right? And one of the main focus, and thank God for memberships, because I believe, and I think everybody believes that the memberships have changed the way that this industry has grown, right? But one of the things that we've seen with the data that we have of the thousands of car washes that we service today is that the majority of car wash owners and operators, they have forgotten about the retail customer, right? Unlike other industries, we do a really poor job targeting retail customers. Especially targeting a specific customer. You can target a group of customers, right? You can send an email or send a text message to all my retail customers. That's great, right? But how about that customer? Telling that customer, thank you for coming to our car wash 3 times. Thank you for being here and purchasing a platinum wash, last time that you were here. Or how about presenting, targeted information for that customer when they come to your car wash? So we've done, as an industry, we've done a really poor job targeting retail customers. In other industries, they have done a phenomenal job, and in most industries, targeting a retail customer has even been more successful than memberships, right? So you have the majority, I think everybody here will probably agree, or at least the majority of car washes that we have in our platform, you have more retail customers than you have members, right? Now, you may not wash more cars for your retail customers than you wash for your members, right? But the reality is that today, the majority of car washes, if not just about every car wash, unless you're a member-only car wash, are washing more retail customers than you do members. And to target them is really an untapped opportunity, right? Because if you're able to increase your revenue, if you're able to make a difference, if you're able to have 5 to 10% of your retail customers wash just one more time per year, that translates into about 15 to 20% revenue increase, okay? So think about that. So by just targeting that little segment of your retail customers, it's going to increase your revenue, right? So how do you do that? Well, you certainly, up until recently, there was very few tools other than, going to every customer and capturing the customer's phone number, asking the customer for their phone number, or asking the customers to fill out an online form or a regular form, or giving you their information. There was very few ways that you could actually capture the customer information, right? And and if you were, it was like painful for the customer, right? It affected your operation, it affected your flow, right? Well, with technology now, between license recognition, LPR, it has allowed you to now be able to track not just your members, but allow you to track your retail customers, right? So one of the things that we do at Micrologic is, with our technology, we're able to, not only we use LPR for memberships, we track every retail customer that comes into your car wash, right? With that now, you're able to understand your retail customers. You're able to see how often a retail customer comes to your car wash. Because one of the questions that I get asked often, or I ask my customers often, is, do you know how often your retail customers come to your car wash? And the answers, believe it or not, they're all over the map. Some people think that it's 3 times a year. Some people say that it's 10 times a year, once a month, right? Well, with our data, unless you target your customer, you're in the low end of that. You're about 3 to 4 times a year. Once you start doing targeting to the actual customers, on retail customers, that number starts increasing very rapidly. The better you do it, the more you're going to increase the return to your car wash. And what happens with that? Now, all of a sudden, you get that one customer that comes 3 to 4 times a year, you get them to wash one more time a year, you already increase the revenue for those customers by 25%. Right? So, excuse me. So AI and LPR will now allow you to target those customers automatically. And some of the things that you can have the system automatically do for you is, and I'm just showing you some of the ideas, it allows you to look at the customer's frequency that they come to your car wash, and based on that, the system can automatically target those customers with, dynamic pricing on their screens at the kiosk, can target those customers with text messaging, and you can start capturing information every time they come to your car wash. You can start capturing little bits of information about that customer, right? What are some of those things? So if a customer comes to your car wash and it comes the second time, you might want to capture their phone number. You capture that on the kiosk. So all of a sudden now you're building a customer profile, which is important, right? And you'll hear me talk a lot about customer profile because now one of the things that most car washes, again, lack today is the ability you have profiles for your members, right? I'm sure you have a lot of information about your members. You have their phone number, their email address, their name, right? Probably some of you even their address, right? But you don't have anything for your retail customer. You don't even have, or you have very little phone numbers for your retail customers. And you don't have their buying habits, right? You might you don't know how many times they've come to you in the last year, right? What kind of car do they have, right? So we're building all of that in there, right? In our system right now, in our platform, not only are we capturing information of what type of wash that you bought, but we know that you have a red Honda Civic, right? And we know that how often you come to the car wash, and we know how you change. How often you change different packages. When do you buy the top package? When do you buy the lower package? Are they coming on a rainy day, right? Are they coming more in the summer than they're coming in the winter, or vice versa? So all that information is now captured, and AI can now help you identify that information. And think about what I just said earlier, right? AI will now take all this information and give you the correct, be able to process it and do something with it, right? When you're an operator, and it doesn't matter if you're a C-level executive, if you're a general store manager, you have your responsibilities to do more than just go into a database and start looking at patterns, right? That's when you start wasting time. AI can do that for you very, very easily. So with that, as we're creating custom profiles, it allows you to use this data and then manipulate it, and have recommendations. AI actually will use, we fed it best practices, and AI will look at patterns which will allow you to grow your retail revenue, right? And what are some of those things? So again, as I said, targeted promotions. You can target promotion that customer, not the segment of customers, but specifically that customer. And what are some of the things that you can do? Because if that's a repeated customer and every time they come to your car wash, they're buying the silver wash and not the platinum wash, right? You might want to offer that customer for that day, for the next time that they come, a $2 off a platinum wash, but just that customer, not everybody else, right? So that's some of the targeting that you can do to that customer. You can also see if a customer keeps on coming to your car wash and it's on the high end, they've come to your car wash 4 or 5 times in the last 3 months, right? You have a higher chance of selling a membership to that customer than any of the other customers, because it's a repeated customer. And that's information that's in front of you. And that's information that AI will help you target that customer, right? So when you hear about promotions from other vendors, promotions, that, up until today, they've been able to do in the car wash industry, is you target a segment of customers. Now you're targeting this customer. And it's important. And then that turns into more members. So you have a higher conversion of memberships from your retail customer, because you know more about it, right? If I know that one of you doesn't like trucks, why would I tell you, hey, buy this truck, right? I already know you're going to say no, but if I know that you like cars, right, I might want to pitch you a Honda Civic, or I might want to get you, instead of getting you a BMW SUV, I want to get you into a BMW 550, right? So I have try to sell you something that I know that there's, a very likelihood that you're not going to buy, right? Other things that, with that, it also reduces your churn, because now you're selling memberships to your repeated customers that are going to see a benefit of using your service, right? Which is also going to lead into other things that you have, lower chargebacks and you have lower cancellations, which actually is going to help you churn. Personalized experience. Because now you're understanding the customers, really your AI will help you as you personalize the experience. The sky's the limit as to what you can do with that for your customers. You can do things such as displaying their car at the kiosk. If that person is driving a Honda Civic, guess what? We will display a picture of the Honda Civic at the kiosk. We will also tell on the tablet that Mr. Jones, for the sales genie portion of our tablets, the CSA will understand and AI will show the information that this customer is more apt to buying a platinum wash, so you should recommend a platinum wash, right, based on previous experience. It allows you to it allows you to build smarter loyalty programs, because as I said, now you're not targeting a segment of customers, you're targeting that customer. When you're creating personalized loyalty programs, and some of the loyalty programs that you can offer through AI are things, such as pay as you go, right? You might have tried, the AI might have tried to sell them a membership, and the customer said no 3 times. Like, great. Well, guess what? How about join our membership program? And so that way we'll capture a little bit more information, and now we can actually send you more promotions, right? Or you're going to feel, now we can actually have that customer feel that is a part of your car wash, right? And we all know that when we go to a business and they recognize us, you feel better, right? So that's how you want your customers to feel. When you are not just somebody else that just goes in there, puts out their credit card and buys something, you actually feel better about that place. So the chances are, there's studies done by the Gartner Group that 80% of customers that get recognized at a business, they're more apt to come back to that business. 80%, right? And it is the difference of doing something as simple as showing the car that they have because you're recognizing that the car that they have. It's about showing their name, right? About sending them follow-up text messages or emails in almost real time, which is also important. You don't send emails and you engage the customer when they're there. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit. You want to engage the customer in there. I think me personally, one of the best experience that I ever had at a point of sale, it was actually not a Micrologic point of sale. It was by a company called Toast. So I promise you I don't have any stock on them, so I'm not trying to upsell it for anybody here. But it was kind of cool because I went to this little coffee shop out in Arizona, and I bought coffee, and I put in my credit card, and I didn't give them any information, and they asked me if I wanted my receipt, email or text or print it, and I chose text. And they didn't even ask me for my phone number. And next thing you know, I'm getting a thing on my phone, and I'm like, how the heck did you do that, right? I'm like, holy crap. Well, I started thinking, I was like, wait a minute. I was at another Toast system before that I had given my phone number, and it did that. So, but I wasn't a member of that coffee shop because I had never been there before, right? Well, come to find out that the same company that owns that little coffee shop owns the other coffee shop that is a big company. But that was kind of cool, right? So now I feel that even though I've never been there, they know me as a customer, right? And I get promotions from that coffee shop. Hey, we haven't seen you and little they know that I'm only going there on business. But guess what? Next time I go there on business, I am going to that coffee shop, right? So this is what happens in car washes, and this is what AI allows you to do and getting customers to return. Dynamic pricing, right? It will allow you to, one of the things, again, understanding your customers, understanding your data, it allows you to automatically set dynamic pricing for that day, right? It allows you to send out promotions for that day. If you have an overcast day that you feel that you're only going to get 10% or 15% of your normal traffic, and you don't mind giving a discount or some type of promotion for that day, AI will allow you to do that. And it'll allow you to do that because now it has information not about just your car wash. We look at weather, we look at other data points, we look at patterns, and you can set it up in advance, not for that day. And this is the beauty of this, right? This is almost like an autopilot. Once you set it up, you set it and forget it. You can tweak it, but you can set it and forget it. And it allows you to do promotions, again, for that day. Because would you rather have 100 cars in a day and do just 100 cars, or do 200 cars by giving a discount to the additional 100 cars? So that's some of the things that it allows you to do. And then event-driven campaigns. Again, some of the things like you set it and forget it. You put it into the system, you set apps on targets, and the system will automatically do it for you. Some of the things I talked about, because you now understand the customers, you can do real uptime sales. So you can, if a customer, as I mentioned earlier, has never bought the top wash, you can automatically suggest to the customer the top wash for a discounted rate. All of that is already in the system. Personalized greeting. All of us here is great when we get an email and they know our name, right? And it's even better when we go to a restaurant or when we go somewhere and they already recognize our name. It feels pretty good, right? So why not have that customer at your car washes feel the same way, right? Back to what I said earlier, when you have a customer that gets recognized at your car wash, they're going to become a better customer. They're going to become a more loyal customer, right? That's what we allow you to do as well. And then staff assistance. So one of the things that one of our latest offerings that we're seeing has changed other industries are things such as automating phone systems that now understand the customer, right? Chatbots. We all probably heard about chatbots right now that you can have a customer can talk or call a phone number. or give your CSAs, your greeters, information about that customer in real time, right? And suggestions. So it would augmenting the data that you didn't have before for your customers, for your staff, will help you whether you have a kiosk, a tablet, or an in-store POS. It'll allow you to help better take care of that customer. Okay. This is some of the information that we have pulled before and after. This is like an average. We have some people that have done better, some people that have done worse. On the left-hand side in there, that was before AI, and that was the customer engagement and return without targeting a specific customer. When they turned on AI and they started targeting their retail customers and capturing retail customer information, on the left-hand side, the first column there, that was when you started seeing the customers return, right? You almost have a 4x increase in visits on this one customer. Churn prevention, there's a combination of a few things, but again, understanding the customer, and that's it's not just on understanding the customer, but it's also understanding why they're canceling, right? And we'll go into a little bit in the next couple of slides. It's getting all the data together of, why is the customer, so we all know that on the past several years, memberships, a lot of the memberships, they cancel because their credit cards were declined, right? Well, we've added credit card updating behind the scenes, so every night we update the credit cards, any credit cards that were replaced. So we got to capture at least between 60 and 80% of the credit cards, declined credit cards. So we reduce that. But then you have the voluntary, what we call voluntary churn. It's people that cancel. Why do they cancel it, right? We're not using, one of the reasons that they always give you is that we don't use it enough. Well, why don't you use it enough? Have you ever, touched base with them? What about customers on the retail side? Why don't they come back to you, right? Those are the most important, believe it or not. So why don't they come back to you? Because you don't hear, you get a very review, you do nothing about it. What about if you had AI looking at, well, that piece of equipment is not working. So they cancel because they had a dirty car, right? They cancel because your top brush was not working at the car wash. Well, what if you were able to understand why that top brush went down, right? If you were able to have your maintenance team look at that top brush because AI is looking at the maintenance data on that top brush and says, you know what, you're 1,000 cars from possibly failing because of the history of that top brush or the history of that piece of equipment, right? What about if you had AI look at a motor running hot, right? That, guess what, the majority of us, I can almost tell you that you don't have a temperature sensor on any motor, right? Well, what about if you had that feedback from a motor and an MCC? Now, not only does it help you stay up and running, but it also helps your customer service piece, right? Because if you have a piece of equipment that is not working, it's obviously going to affect your customer service. It's going to affect your wash. It's going to affect the quality of your wash, right? And more important, it's going to affect the quality of the wash for that customer. What about if you had AI look at your parking lot and seeing that there's garbage on the floor, right? Garbage on the ground, right? AI can do that. You can have cameras that actually looking at your lot and they can see that there is garbage on the ground. That would allow you to take action. So without monitoring the site, AI will do all that for you, right? Now, you'll still have to do the physical work, right? But AI identifies garbage. AI, yes, sir?
Tell me about this implementation. How is the camera seeing the trash and communicating? We have to buy an additional product from you. What's the product that's using the AI to communicate to us as the employer?
Yeah, so there's, the camera is the software behind it, right? So there's in camera for years and years now there has been object recognition. You can recognize what the ground is supposed to look like and what it's looking like now, right? So it is a product, it's an additional product that you will buy.
What's the name of that product?
Open Vision. Yes, sir. So you're able to do that, and you're able to recognize other things, right? You're able to recognize, if your vacuum area is full, right? If you're able to recognize things that, and I'll go into this in a little bit, able to recognize, if the cars are not being loaded into the tunnel fast enough, if the tunnel is running slow. And then, again, we talked about promotion effectiveness because you're now targeting that customer you're more effective. And then membership conversion because you know more about that customer, that retail customer, you have a higher conversion rate. These are some of the things that I talked about right now, that I talked about. It helps you remember, and these are some actual numbers that once you start targeting those customers, we're seeing upwards of 20% conversion increase, right, from where your previous conversions were. Your higher ticket average because now you are targeting that customer. What are some of the things that you also do with that is that because now understand that customer, you can, and you try to upsell them on the product that they're more up to buying. And then your customers overall on your retails, we're seeing as much increase as 15% of your total retail customers come back more often. So the next level down is now you have the operational efficiency for your car washes, right? So now we talked about your customers. The first part of this, we talked about the customers and how do we get more information about the customers. But now let's talk about on the operations side, right? Because obviously your operations is directly related to your customer satisfaction, right? I mean, if you can have the customers and you can target the customers, but if you're not providing a good product, if you're not providing a consistent product, it's going to affect your customers. It's going to affect their happiness and return to your car wash, right? So how we do that is it's more than just tracking your customers, I said. It is, on the operations side, you have to solve for these things. You have to solve for the customer experience, right? And you can solve for the customer experience by, again, providing a consistent, good product. On the efficiency, customers go to your car wash and they don't want to spend unnecessary time at your car wash, right? Everybody's in a rush today, especially on the express washes, so they want to be in and out of your car wash. They don't want to be on a long line. They don't want to be on waiting for a broken down piece of equipment to be fixed, right? And then also part of the efficiency is on the maintenance side, where we will, where AI allows you to help your maintenance team, providing them information on what are some of the things that they can do to prevent or predict when a piece of equipment is going to go down. And then finally, again, all of those combined, it will affect your revenue. AI. So on the operation side, now that we jump into, with this piece, is one of the biggest things that you can get today in the car wash AI will help you with is actually the bottlenecks, right? And some of those things that most people know how many cars you're washing per hour. Most people know how many cars are you doing on each space station, but you don't know things such as how long is it taking for the loader to load to go from the kiosk to the pay station, right? What is that time? What is conveyor speed running at? How many cars are you doing? How many more could you do? What is the reason why that is happening, right? So AI will help you with that because it's going to look at, okay, what is the slowdown? Is it the slowdown at the pay stations? Is the slowdown at the loading area, at the tunnel entry, or at the exit, right? So because we're now capturing all that information, it's going to take all those data points and give it to you and tell you, 20% of your traffic or 20% of your slowness, as an example, is because of the pay stations, right, as an example. The other 30% is because of the preloading area. And what does that mean? So in the preloading area, maybe you don't have, you're good when you're running 80 cars an hour. But what if you have 120 cars an hour, right? What happens then? So this will tell, the nice thing about this, it will tell you that the slowdown is possibly because of the change speed. It'll tell you that, it takes too long for a car to turn and go into the loading area. So it measures all those times, right? And then it offers suggestions on that. Or it could be at the tunnel entry, or the tunnel exit, right? We also measure that time where, how long did it take the car to wash? But then how long did it take the car to go from the exit area to the vacuum area or the exit area to the outside? Is it because you have a bottleneck in the exit of the tunnel? Because it's equally as important as a bottleneck, if not more important than at the entrance of the tunnel, because now you have to stop the tunnel, right? So those are some of the things. And then the same thing on the exit area. Performance tracking. So we all know that as humans, everybody's different, right? So one of the things that we capture in our systems is some of the data points such as the efficiency of a CSA, right? How many cars did they engage? How many cars did they sell? What is their conversion rate, right? So those are some of the things that we do. Well, how about their prep time? How long does it take to prep the car for those of you who do flex or do full service? It allows you to do that as well. What about the upsell rate, right? How many, if you have, multiple stores especially, or you might have multiple CSAs, why is this CSL converting 20% of the customers and why is this CSA converting only 5, right? So all that information is available, and because we have so much of the other information, we understand now why the majority of the time we understand, and AI will present you with the answers for that, right? And typically some of those things are things that the CSA is going off script, right? The CSA is not following the script that you told them to follow. The CSA is not engaging customers, right? So if you don't engage customers, guess what? You can't sell to them, right? So we track, all that information is tracked. And it's also tracking the time that they take, right? Between not only the stores, but across the board. So because we track the performance now, what that allows you to do is now create training programs, because we now provide you that data, that will actually enhance where you see those deficiencies, right? Because they're being tracked. And it'll suggest where, because we know where the bottlenecks are coming from, we'll suggest to you what the next steps should be taking, right? Predictive maintenance. One of the things that, again, this is kind of what starts bringing everything full circle. So now you have the 3 components, right, of just about every car wash. Is you have your customers, you have your staff, and then you have your equipment. And all those 3 things combined is what makes a good customer experience. That's all what makes a successful business, successful car wash. And that is also what will keep your customers coming back to you and growing, because if you have a deficiency in any of those, you're not maximizing your revenue. You're not maximizing your efficiency. As I said earlier, one of the things that we can do that I think every operator should do is monitor their equipment, right? Monitor, which equipment is failing, when are they failing, how many cars are you washing through that equipment, what type of equipment is failing. And with that information is able, you're able, when you feed it through the system, it helps you analyze, okay, where are my problems, right? Are we having a problem typically with a piece of equipment? Are we having a problem with a vendor? Or are we having a problem with just on, this installer? So it allows you to track all that information that is put into the system. And it will help you take the next steps. Now, what is that? So some of the things that we're able to do is able to take that data and create automatic scheduling for maintenance, right? Automatically know that, hey, you need to go maintain or go look at this piece of equipment over the next 3 weeks, because we expect that piece of equipment is going to reach their limit of the cars that it's going to be able to wash. That's something that, if you look at just about every other industry that is out there, and we all, I'm sure the majority of us here drive, right? One of the things that you see now in cars that you don't even need to look at that sticker anymore when you get the oil change, right? Like the car tells you, hey, you need to get your oil change in 300 miles or 3,000 miles on 2,000 miles. Well, that's what this is doing now, right? You need to get this piece of equipment replaced or this piece of equipment maintained, service, over the next 3 weeks, because we expect that you're going to wash, 10,000 cars or 3,000 cars, right? So those are some of the things that very few people have done automatically, but that's some of the things that the systems now allow you to do that, right? Preventative and predictive maintenance. And then the prevention time is also some of the monitoring of the equipment. It's not just when you're about to reach that many cars, but it's also monitoring. Is your motor running too hot, right? You have low-level oil that is going to damage a piece of equipment. Because as we all know, right, a down car wash, you're losing revenue, and you're getting customers mad. So it's not only you're losing revenue, which obviously is important for everybody here, but you're also getting the customer upset, because if they made plans to go to your car wash and your car wash is now shut down, or they have to wait 10, 15 minutes for the track to get up and running again, you're now going to have an unhappy customer. And more importantly, you're going to have a customer that is more likely to not come back to your car wash. That might be the last time they come to your car wash, right? Or that might be a customer that if it was a member, it's like, I will cancel the membership because I didn't want to wait, right? And up until, a lot of people, and there's a lot of truth to this, is that, well, guess what, memberships, members can come back anytime. That's great, but now you inconvenience the customer. When you start getting inconvenience, there's a higher chance that you will cancel your membership. So by doing that, and preventing any maintenance, preventing any downtime, is actually going to help you with everything else. Right? Not, you don't just look at today's revenue, but you look overall your customer satisfaction, right? And some of the things again, because of all that data that now we're not collecting, because of all the putting all that data together, putting all that data together allows you, as I said, to get higher throughput. And why does it allow you to do higher throughput? Because when you're recognizing a customer, and just give you some examples here, right? When you're recognizing a customer and then combining everything that between, recognizing, targeting that customer, the retail customer, having the car wash running efficiently, and having the system recognize all those components, recognize all those pieces. Imagine, again, a small example of you have a customer that comes up to your kiosk, the pay station, and now because you're recognizing them, you don't have to bring them through the whole flow. And I'm talking about a retail customer, right? Now you don't have to bring them through the whole flow of screens. And you say, hello, Mr. Jones, welcome back. Would you like the same wash as last time? Right? And you only do that, the system will do that if that last time they bought the top wash. Because guess what? You're not going to upsell that customer, right? You already sold that customer, right? What else are you going to sell them? Well, guess what? You already bought the top wash. And why bring them through a whole bunch of screens? Especially if he said no to selling to buying a membership the last 3 times. Why have all that information come up? Guess what? You do that to 10% of your customers, 20% of your customers, you just increase your operational speed of but you cut the transaction speed at the kiosk by as much as 50%, okay? Also, capturing the customer phone number. Another example, you want to capture. We have some clients that in the past, they just wanted to capture everybody's phone number. And guess what? Well, if I recognize that customer, if I recognize a license plate, if I recognize that customer has been there before, and that customer has already entered the phone number, if that customer already said no to me 4 times prior that they didn't want to give me the phone number, why am I going to ask him again, right? You're going to get the customer more upset, right? And if you have the phone number already, why capture it, right? Let the system do it. Let AI do it, right? So now that's another efficiency that it helps your operation, your throughput, right from the pay station side. And then your reduced downtime, because you have you have less downtime. The system, because of the system, is monitoring your equipment, and it's monitoring all your equipment. It's monitoring, when you should do the maintenance. You have, on average, again, 15 to 20% reduced downtime on certain pieces of equipment. And that's huge. Again, it doesn't seem like a lot, but as I said earlier, as humans, we can't look at a ton of information. We can't process all this information by ourselves. Let the system or a platform do it for you. And then finally, again, you have higher satisfaction. Back to my example, customer coming into your car wash, and the car wash being open every time that they go in and not being down because of maintenance. And not being down because, or waiting in long lines, right? You create a higher satisfaction. And and all those other things that I mentioned about, let AI, let the suggestions on where's your bottleneck, but you're reducing all of that. All that sounds great, but this is the actual effects. That's what taking care of those issues is what, now these are real life changes to your operation, right? So this is how it impacts your operation. One of the things that we have heard over and over again, so now, again, back to the information, and information is great as long as you do something with it. Right? That's the first part, right? When you have information about a customer, when you have information about your system, when you have information about your location, your operations, everything is great, having that information. But then you have to do something with it. So that's the first piece. The second part of it is how quickly can you react to that information, right? How quickly can you identify that the customer is a return customer, right? How quickly can you send a text message to that customer? How quickly can you tell the tech your motor is running at high temperature and your maintenance team is running at a high temperature and you need to do something about it, right? And how quickly you can react to that information, how quickly you provide that information, it impacts the numbers that I showed on the previous screen, right? It impacts your throughput, it impacts your downtime, it impacts definitely your customer satisfaction. If you're, and that's why when you have a platform where the information is provided to you in real time or very near real time, and by near real time, I'm talking about, 5 seconds to 60-second delay on the data, right? On some things. But especially on the customer side, when you have that information in front of you at a kiosk or a tablet about that customer, again, in real time, that's very impactful. Not a day from now, not a month from now. You don't text the customers or you don't do a promotion to the customers 3 weeks from now, right? Because the customer is there. You want to capture that customer when they're there. You want to make them feel good when they're at your location. It's very, so that piece is very important. And that's where one of the biggest differences, there's a lot of platforms out there. There's some bolt-on platforms that you can feed data to, right? But most of them have delay, where the action cannot be taken in there, right? The action cannot be integrated with a kiosk, cannot be integrated with a tablet, cannot be integrated with a full system that sees the big picture, right? So it's very important that unless you have a fully integrated solution, those are some of the things that you have to look for, right? And then again, back to what I mentioned earlier, if you have a customer that comes in and you recognize the license plate, it's so great that you can send them an email a week from now or a couple hours from now when you feed that information to another system, but you want to do it in there. So that's one of the differences on integrating with having an add-on program or add-on platform or something that you export the data. So that's very important that some of the decision making. As I said, some of the limitations that most bolt-on platforms have are you have slower reaction times, right? Which then it will affect the revenue and customer satisfaction. It has limited data access, so it might capture one piece of it, but it doesn't look at the whole picture. It doesn't look at processing the information as to why things are happening, right? You might look at some of your customers, but it might not look at the change speed. It might not look at how clean your car wash is. Integration issues, right? There's finger pointing, right? And then you have the maintenance. So what happens if the data, the delay in the data, it's like whose fault is it, right? We're not getting enough data. So those are some of the limitations that you have on bolt-on solutions, and and that's why it's important to have you should look for a platform that has all of that. And when you do that, you really have the results, the best results that you're going to get. Which again, at the end of the day, you want to have happy customers, you want to have an efficient operation, you want to have a successful, high revenue, you want to try to run an operation that is as performing as best as you can, right? And then that you will not have otherwise with bolt-on solution. Again, now getting all those things that I said together from the customer side, from the operation side, from the efficiency side, it allows you to create more revenue, something that again, that in the past from the retail side, from the customer side, we were only focusing on memberships. Now you're focusing on the retail, right? So you have that huge opportunity. You create happier customers, so you have better opportunity in that. And because of now you have all that information, you want to be the best. I mean, I think everybody here wants to be the best at what they do, right? Otherwise, I don't think we would be here and doing what we do. And then it helps you do that. It helps you create, become excellent at what you do, because now you provided the tools that will help you get there, right? Imagine today that none of us had email, as an example, right? If we didn't have email, do you think any of us would be as efficient as we are? We wouldn't be, right? I remember the last time that I had a fax machine in our office, and that was painful, right? You look back and guess what? And then so when email came along, it became more efficient, right? And before having even fax machine, it was even less efficient because you had to use the post office, right? So this is the same thing, utilizing the tools to take your company to the next level, take your operations to the next level, and it will help you get better. Without that, you'll be falling behind. And oftentimes is by the time you figure out that you have fallen behind, you're in trouble, right? Because you now have to catch up to the next guy that is using those tools. So again, to wrap it up here, before our Q&A, understand, so the pieces here is understand your retail customers, get better at your operations, understand the limitations, understand where your issues are, and then you integrate all that together with an AI tool, AI platform, and it will help you create better car washes, create better operations, and be more successful. And I promise you that although you don't see a lot of it yet, when you start taking a look at all those things of, again, understanding your customer better, focusing on your retail customers, is going to make equally an impact on your operations, if not more than the memberships have done thus far. So I'll open the floor to any questions that anybody might have. Yeah, sir, I think she has a microphone.
So I understand AI is being used for data analysis. Do you see AI being used in operating the equipment in auto wash bay to provide tailored washes for different models of vehicles?
Yes. So very good question. Some of the limitations that there are today with the equipment is that you're washing cars, right? But that's all you're doing. You're washing cars. And somebody told me pretty early on, and from another industry, that when they looked at, one of my peers, they're a different industry, and they said, the thing about car wash is you're washing cars, and you're washing a lot of cars, but you're not washing the car, right? So it's AI. Today, one of the things that we can do is we can identify, I can tell you what customer comes to a car wash with our platform, and I'm washing a 2003 Honda Civic red, not only just the license plate. That's what we know, all the information we know about that car. Within fractions of a second, we know the measurements of that car. We know how big the mirrors are. Unfortunately, and you can change some of the equipment, right? Some of the things that I think all of us have seen here happening over the last several years is, it's getting better, right? The equipment is getting better, right? The technology is there. Like today, with the technology that we have, we can wash that car, not a car, but that car, right? But some of the things that have changed over the last several years, we all see in the sonar, right? Now we can identify a pickup truck, and we identify if the bed on the pickup truck is open or it has a cover, right? So we can identify that so you don't damage the car or the equipment. As equipment changes, as equipment manufacturers start giving you a little bit more of a ways to turn on the equipment, certain equipment on and off, different pressures, right? As an example, the solutions that we have will be able to do that. We'll be able to actually wash that car. So yes, AI will be washing that car, not a car. So we'll create better experience for the customer as well, better service.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Good. So with regards to your facility forecaster and predicting possibly when equipment needs to be replaced or taken a look at, where are you getting the data set from for predicting that, right? Is that you're getting from the manufacturers of all of the various different things? Are you taking analytics that are coming in through VFDs? Is it data sets that you're getting from the thousands of car washes that you have out there? I'm curious about that and what that looks like.
Yes. All of the above, right? So it's a little bit of everything. So you're getting a little bit from the manufacturers. So you have recommended maintenance times, right? But you're also getting, the more valuable information is you're getting it from the operators, where actuality is versus, versus what the recommended is, right? We all know that every time we go buy a car, I'm sure all of us have had the same issue. You see the sticker, and you see on the sticker it says, whether miles per gallon are, right? Well, we don't know that. That's not reality. If you follow that, you'll be running out of gas a lot, right? Is how many miles per gallon you're getting. So we do the same thing. We do the actual, we look at the data among multiple operators for that specific piece of equipment. And also, more importantly, on your piece of equipment as well, right? Clearly, the more history that you have with your equipment, the better it is, because the system can give you better better data. And then that's how we provide to you the preventive and then the predictive maintenance piece of it. All right. Any other questions?
In the real world, the technology is great, or in the, overall. So when you're at the car wash and this technology is recognizing a particular model of car, like you say, it can recognize a Honda. What if it's wrong? Like, what if it says it's a Honda Civic, but it's actually a 550?
Yep.
And how do you trust the data that the AI is spitting out?
Really good question, right? So before I answer that question, I'm going to ask you a question. So I'm sure you have a cell phone, right? And cell phones work most of the time, except that sometimes the calls don't go through, right? So you try it again. And just because, technology is not perfect, but technology, especially the technology, that type of technology is correct the majority of the time, right? So although we recognize, when you recognize that car and we're creating that profile, there's a lot of information that we capture that, the efficiency on LPR, as an example, is typically between 98 and 99%. It varies by demographic, it varies by area of the country, whether you have snow, mud, different parts of the year, right? But the biggest piece is, recognizing the license plate, and then we match that with what that car has been there before. If the make and model are wrong, guess what? You're still not going to, by having that small level or small percentage of error, is not going to affect your operation because you now have a lot more information than you ever had before. If you do nothing, you have 0, right? If you do something, you're going to have 98%. Let's just call it, I'm wrong, and you get 95%. You get a 95% increase of information capturing that you didn't have before, right? So that's why, again, as much as I would like to sit in here, and I'm a technology guy, that's when I found the Micrologic, I'm an engineer, but it's not perfect. It will never be perfect, right? But it's better than not doing anything by order of magnitude. A long time ago, I read a quote, I don't know who it was from, but, and I believe it to be true. If you're right 51% of the time, right, which is crazy, right? Because you only have to be right. That means that 49% of the time you're wrong. And I'm not talking about technology. I'm talking about as a person. You're actually going to be better. You're going to be doing more good than bad, right? And that's kind of crazy. So now think about with technology. If you're right 98% of the time, you're going to be really good, right? You're going to have a lot of information that you didn't have before. I guess you're married, huh? I wish I was right 10% of the time. 5. What's that? Open Vision is just one. We have a chat AI tool. We have our LPR is all AI. We have a phone system that's all AI. And then we have a data analytics that's all AI. Yes, sir.
So when it comes to AI and LPR readings tailored to a specific retail customer, what's the minimum amount of times they need to come in in, say, a 2-month period before it starts to recognize that customer?
I'm sorry, can you get a little closer? No, I couldn't hear you.
Okay. So how many times do the customer have to come in before it starts to recognize them, like a minimum amount of times? Is it 3, 5?
2 times. So yeah. So we capture, in our system, in our platform, we capture every plate that comes in, not just retail. Not just members, but retail customers, right? Now that's an option you can set up. So whether they've been there once or 20 times, we capture that. You can start taking action on a customer from day one, right? Because you can start doing promotions. You can start engaging the customer from day one. Because some of the promotions, an example, you can say, hey, we see that you've never been here before. We're going to give you this, or give you X. So the second time they come in, you can say, hey, welcome back. So that's recognized. Those are some of the things that you can do, right? But if we start doing, AI starts working really from the first moment that a customer comes in.
When you scrape a license plate for that data and you're identifying the car and the make, at what point in the future will the technology allow you to pull other identification information like phone numbers or addresses?
So the information is available today, right? There's a public database. There's service out there that you can actually augment the information by just with the license plate, right? And it's not perfect. It's better than nothing. But there's now Micrologic doesn't do that. We don't. I mean, we can integrate with those systems, but getting the phone number automatically for that information is looking it up in a separate database, looking it up in a separate place. But it's available today. You can do that today.
On a personal sales level, how do you conquer the retail customer that might see this level of tech as intrusive?
It's all how. So you're always going to have customers that everybody's different, right? The answer is like every customer is different. I think one of the things that we've seen some of our customers do, some of them do it, some of them don't, is that they tell you that their plate is being captured for marketing purposes or for better customer service, right? You have customers that never give you a phone number. They never, even prior to having LPR, you have customers that never, when they saw you writing their license plate, they didn't want you to do that, right? Unfortunately, you're going to have that. The answer is that, so you don't do it with them, right? You have a set of customers that you just don't communicate to. I think we all receive plenty of text messages, a lot of spam, right? And a lot of times, you have to hit that word stop, right? Because it's too much. So you have to figure out, you do a balance, right? You can't, one thing that we believe at Micrologic, and that anybody that is a good marketer, any good marketing company will tell you the same thing, that you don't want to over-market a customer, right? You don't want to send text messages or over try to sell a customer, because you actually might lose them because of that as well. So you have to find a balance on that.
I missed your coffee shop story on the company. Do you integrate with Square?
No, sir, no.
That data doesn't, you don't, okay.
Sorry? No, we do not, sir. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for coming to the session. I hope you find it productive.